The Ancients World. Chapter 171, Flying to Belvia. We walk back into the cold forest and stay silent. The method on how we got her mana aura isn't a usual one, but we have it now. I take it this means we are heading to Belvia now. Sally asks me about the subject currently on my mind. I have a lot of complex jobs to do in Belvia, and with the addition of the heist on their treasure room, it's even increased in difficulty. I don't know how I'm supposed to complete all the quests without getting caught. Perhaps that's the point. Maybe overwhelming force is what will lead to the success of these quests. I'm not in the mood to sneak around Belvia trying to find clues about the quests. I can threaten the annihilation of the entire capital city for the information and items I need from the capital. However, I'm not going to kill millions of innocent people. We are heading to Belvia next. We'll discuss some ideas about what to do once we get there. Finding people to help with the heist will be the hard part. With the 2 other quests I have in Belvia, that makes the total 3. Each of them is very difficult. The amount of time needed to finish these quests isn't making me happy either. I don't know how long we'll be in Belvia. The quests that I have now will be a pain in the ass to complete. My decision to take them isn't making me happy right now. I open the quests to see their information. Quest, the false one. Description: you have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads, and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make. Only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1, expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Objective 2, find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancients World. Quality: legendary. Rewards: hidden. Quest: an abomination. Description: find the research and notes of Ulmaruna on her development of the curse. Objective 1, find Ulmaruna's lab in Belvia's capital and bring the notes and research papers back to Flint. Objective 2, hidden. Quality: epic. Heist of Belvia's treasure vault. Description: break into Belvia's treasure vaults and retrieve the Dice of Wayland. Objective 1, once in Belvia, find a group that can help you pull off the heist. Objective 2, once you have the Dice of Wayland, keep them until the right time to use them. Difficulty: legendary. Rewards: anything you can take from the vaults other than the Dice of Wayland. All 3 of these quests are complex jobs that take time to complete individually. Rereading the information, I don't have to be sneaky and subtle about these quests except the heist. That means I can use violent tactics for the first 2. I don't want to do the first 2 without completing the 3rd one. So I've come to a decision. Once I'm done with the heist, I'll use my authority as the son of Archangel Michael to get the answers to the first 2 questions. We stop walking, and I kneel on the ground. Let's get a move on while we still have some daylight left. We'll fly for a few hours and then camp out for the night. It'll take about 16 hours to reach Belvia at full speed. So getting there in one trip isn't going to work. Sally gets on my back, and I launch off the ground and immediately reach top speed in the direction the marker is taking me. Sally crawls up my back and brings her head up to mine, so we don't have to yell at each other. I've heard some pretty bad things about Belvia the last few years. They are a city that has a massive underground criminal system that has everything you can imagine. Even slavery is ignored by the government there if they are paid enough. Belvia sounds like a real hellhole. I won't be sad threatening them anytime soon. Sally was a slave long before my grandparents were born. I can only assume she will have a hard time around so many people that caused her pain. I'll make sure nothing happens to you, Sally. If it really comes down to it, I'll use my strongest skill to kill every living hostile creature within 400 kilometers. I'm not going to lose any sleep over killing scum like that. Earlier I thought that I couldn't use Divinity Pulse while in Belvia, but its description is very specific about hostile enemies only being affected. So I can assume anyone not threatening me will be perfectly fine. I have more power than pretty much any other humanoid creature. The only ones stronger than me now are people that have truly chased power. I have this option if I want it. Sally stays quiet at my words and snuggles closer to me. I push those thoughts out of my mind and focus on the problem at hand. Who is going to help me with the heist? I don't know anyone in Belvia, and I have no way to contact any of the right people for this job. We'll have to assemble a crew for the heist once we reach Belvia, and that can take some time. I want to hear if Sally has any ideas, but she is just staying quiet and relaxing. I can use Belvia's criminal underground against it. I can use that resource to find myself a crew to pull this off. I know what we can do. We'll use the criminal network already present in Belvia against them. Sally slowly nods her head in confirmation. I take the message and stop focusing on the problems too. We fly for a few hours, and eventually, the sun sets. I bring us down in a very small clearing in some trees and land. Sally gets off and stretches her body. I pull the camping equipment out of my inventory and set it all up. I start a fire pit and take a seat enjoying its warmth. I pull out the very last of my food supply, and I toss half of it to Sally. We are having a big meal first when we reach Belvia. We should reach it by tomorrow evening if we get up early. Sally scoots closer and stops when our shoulders lean against each other. She starts nibbling on her food and staring into the fire. After a couple more seconds, she leans her head on my shoulder. She has earned these moments. She is proving to herself and me that she is getting better mentally. I won't claim to know what goes on in her head, but what's happened to her in the past will affect her for the rest of her life. Zirn, will you kiss me? I turn my head slowly and look at her. She tilts her head up and looks into my eyes. She closes her eyes and brings her face closer. I bring mine to her, and right before our lips touch, I close my eyes too. Our lips connect, and a very fulfilling sensation spreads through me. Sally has grown to be very important to me, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any feelings for her. I move my lips just a little bit, and she follows with the motion. I feel her hand slide up my back and her fingers run through my dark hair. She brings her other arm and places her hand on my chest. We move our lips together in small gentle movements, and after a couple more seconds, we pull away from each other, slightly red in our faces and taking quick breaths to catch what we missed in the moment of affection. I love you, Zirn, you are the one that showed me life isn't just suffering. She takes control of the situation and kisses me again. We don't kiss for as long, but she did try to gain access with her tongue. The new life I have now is thanks to you. Thank you for seeing me for more than just a half-breed. She leans her head back on my shoulder and relaxes. I turn my head back to the fire and enjoy this moment we have together. The life you have right now isn't because of me. It's because you had the courage to leave with me. You decided to have faith in another person, a man even, and took the leap. I would never be able to do that, so you should thank yourself too. She finds my hand with hers and interlocks her fingers with mine. What I said is what I've observed. She has her own courage and faith in good people to thank for all this. Living for 103 years and having her life would turn 99% of people into bitter and cynical people. How could I not like someone with so much strength? She looks at me and tilts her head to the tent. She stands up with her hand in mine and helps me up. She leads me into the tent before it gets too late. Chapter 172, Flying to Belvia 2. We enter the tent, and it's a small one, like always, barely enough room for 2 people. I lay down and relax as I contemplate more strategies to take on this heist quest. Sally snuggles up next to me and uses my body as a pillow. I don't mind it. She isn't going to try anything more than that. I close my eyes in the silent comfort that has been given to us. I won't be allowed to have such private moments other than being far away from church-aligned cities. Now that my identity is revealed, I'm going to have a lot of attention on me. I wonder who got all the rewards for revealing who I am. There never was an announcement. I envy such a thing. Having billions know about isn't something I like. The future is full of new and interesting situations. Belvia is not somewhere I went in my old future. Gaia is huge, and the majority of it is unexplored. The places I did go in those 5 years were not even close to Belvia. The main problem with my old future is the amount of time it took to travel. I didn't have the convenience of flight. Now that I do, I'm able to get to places I couldn't before. Nothing is off limits now. Gaia is a huge place. It works differently than other worlds, thanks to literal gods directly affecting it. Zirn, can you tell me where you new people come from? I'd like to know where your origins are. I slowly open my eyes and look at the top of the tent. The truth about where I come from, that would be bringing a whole bunch of new problems to the table if I told her. If Sally knew, I know she wouldn't see me any differently. She isn't shallow like that. That information is special, though. I don't know the repercussions of telling her something like that. I can tell her a little bit, but what should it be? I know she won't like a vague answer. Women hate that. So giving the best answer is one closest to the whole truth. I feel like I'm lying by doing this. In a way, I am. New people come from a world called Earth. It was our home. Now Gaia is our home. Many of us died getting here, so in truth, we are aliens. She might question my connection to Michael, and I'm not sure how to answer that. The whole truth about all of this isn't easy to explain. Throw in that this wasn't actually a game in a real world, I know I'm not qualified to. Sally raises her head and looks at me in confusion. I give her a sincere look, telling her I'm truthful. How is that even possible? From the little rumors I heard, new people are gifts from the gods in overworld. In a sense, that's true. The Almighty Father brought us here to Gaia, and I can see that being the truth to the people of Ancient's world. How are you Michael's son if you aren't from this world? I knew she was too smart not to see that. I don't know how to explain it to her without revealing the truth to the players and the system that is now a part of her world's deity power base. She and all people of Gaia don't even know the system exists. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. That was a pretty unfair question to ask, considering I haven't really told you much about my childhood. Sally drops the question, and I breathe a small sigh of relief. I close my eyes again and think back to Earth. I wonder what it's starting to look like without humans anymore. The animals are rearranging the food chain now that we are gone. It makes me wonder if there will ever be a way back. In honesty, the only reason to go back is for the advanced technology and fortune my family never got to spend. Gaia is a much healthier world. Earth only had a century or two before it couldn't support life anymore. Earth was doomed to die, but with us gone, maybe it has a chance to crawl out of the clutches of death. My world was dying, Sally. In my opinion, I'm glad we were taken from it. It saved us from extinction. I'll always miss it, though. It was the home that took care of me the best it could despite our treatment of it. Earth's health is our fault, and we have no one to blame other than ourselves. Sally runs her hand across my chest and hums ever so slightly. On the nights I was the most scared, I'd hum to myself to pass the time. They only treated me like a toy and a thing to play with. When it was over, I could only pray that I escape or die one day. Lucky for me, I fooled them into thinking I was domesticated. They allowed a small amount of freedom, and that when I learned how to fight. A little while after that I escaped, and I promised myself I slit my own neck before getting sucked into that slide again. I hug her after sharing the whole story of how she became free. She told me a little bit at the beginning of our travels. Now I know a little more about her. I convinced myself I'd never let anyone even touch me again, but it's different with you, Zirn. I feel a slight pang in my heart. She doesn't even know my real name. The feelings she has shared only come along once in a while. Sally is even rarer than that. Someone with so much good in them is hard to find. Put that together with what she has been through, and I see an impossibility. Yet here she is, not impossible. I don't know how to respond to that, Sally. I've never had such an impact on someone's life other than my family members. I can't lie, I've grown very fond of you. You've made your interests in me pretty clear, and I'm sorry for shutting you down so much. In my own way, I was protecting both of us from something we weren't ready for. She looks up at me and has eager happiness, mostly from the selection of my words. Once we are done in Belvia, I want to discuss a possible future together. Until that time, I want to spend time getting to know you more and vice versa. I want my first relationship to be my last. My father once told me that if you can enjoy each other's company without being physical, then that's the person you're meant to be with. I like that a lot, Zirn. I'll hold you to those words. She crawls up and kisses my cheek. She goes back to her original spot and snuggles back in. My sister would be making jokes at my expense right now, and they would be zingers too. I know that you want to take time with this situation we are in, and I want to say thank you. If it moved as fast as I wanted it to, I might not feel the way I do right now. I was really scared that night I jumped at you in the tub. I was testing you to see if you were different, and you passed with flying colors. How about that? I'm usually the one testing people and their intentions. It feels strange to have it happen to me. Not bad though, I'm glad I passed. She starts to fully hum a melody in the silence of the wilderness we are sleeping in. It really is soothing, to tell the truth. She has a lovely voice. Sally is a beautiful girl and just needed someone she could rely on. When I look at her long braided blonde hair and colorful blue-green eyes, I see a strong warrior with a clean soul. I find myself falling asleep and dozing in and out of consciousness. I shouldn't try and fight sleep, but it's something I developed chasing after the world item that got me here. Chasing after the man that took everything from me. I'm sure he is alive and running around Gaia just like the rest of the players are. I fall into a deep sleep, no longer fighting the desperate instinct to stay awake. The night passes, and the early sun shines all around us, warming up the tent. I take a deep breath, and I feel some hair tickle my nose. I open my eyes to see that Sally has her head buried in my neck and is sleeping herself. I lean up fully and sit crisscross. Sally sits in my lap, still sleeping. I'm honored she trusts me enough to sleep so intimately. I pick her up in my arms and carry her out of the tent. The fire is out cold, but I still sit in front of the pit and hold her until she wakes up. I enjoy the perfect temperature of the early morning and savor this precious memory. This isn't going to be something I forget for the rest of my life. Someone is waking up it seems. I watch as Sally opens her eyes and looks at me. She gives me a smile and I give one back. What a nice way to wake up. I chuckle at her words and she does too. Who knew growing close to someone could feel so good? Chapter 173, Flying to Belvia 3. Sally gets up and stretches her body. I remain crisscrossed on the ground and look at the fire pit with no fire. We are traveling the rest of the distance today, and Belvia is a place we'll be for more than just a few days. The heist is what's going to take forever. I stand up myself and stretch some. I take it we are heading out now. I need to use the bathroom before I go. I nod my head at Sally's words, and she walks into the tree lean and behind a tree. I toggle my wings on and stretch them out too. I roll them around and move them in different directions. It feels really good to do so. They are extra limbs, after all. In a way, they are my best defense and offense. Nothing aside from legendary weapons and higher can damage them. I look up to the sky, and there are many white puffy clouds today. Being able to fly would be a privilege players would murder for. I walk over to the tent, pack it up, and put it in my inventory. I hear the rustling of leaves and grass behind me. I already know who it is. How long do you think the flight would be from here? As much as I love flying, I'm getting tired of it. My best guess is around 12 to 13 hours from here. Usually, it'd take weeks to travel around like this, another reason to be grateful for my wings. I kneel on the ground and wait for Sally to climb on. She does, and I launch off the ground. We burst through the white puffy clouds and level out above them. I look on my map and head in the direction the marker is taking me. Sally slides up to the usual spot and rests her head. She is still waiting for an answer regarding how long the journey will take. It's going to be around 12 hours. At the most, maybe 13. I hear her groan very quietly. If she weren't right next to my ear, I wouldn't have heard it. We can walk if you prefer. Using my legs to travel sounds like a nice change of pace. She gentle tugs on my ear in protest. I'll take that as a no then. Once we get there, it'll be late evening, and we can find an inn to stay for the night. Get some food before we sleep too. The last time I had a hot meal was a couple of hours before Sally, and I started our journey together. As we fly in silence, a world announcement goes off, and it puts a smile on my face. Worldwide announcement: a player has discovered the legendary magical fire class, Phoenix. The class has been permanently removed from the possible class choices. World mission: the Coven of Fire is offering rewards for any information regarding his player. It looks like Marcus is the first of the three to get his class. I knew that he liked fire magic, so I knew of a very powerful legendary fire mage class. I'm sure that he'll love it. The only ones left in my family to get their classes are Mom and Dad. They are definitely going for their next, typical of them to take care of their kid before themselves. A lot of powerful people are popping up these days. A legendary fire mage class is once in a millennium. I think that statement is wrong. No days. Sally must have received the announcement from the church just now. Marcus will be in the top 5 strongest players, maybe even top 3. I'm currently number 1, and I'm sure Stubbed Toe is number 2. The third spot is up for grabs. No one has definitely claimed the spot. Marcus can once he gets higher levels and more power. I know who that person is. Sally goes ridge in anticipation of the story. He's my little brother. He is a mage that prefers fire attacks. I suppose he finally went after it. This is sure to cause more questions about my and new people's origins. Sally might ask about it or might not. I can't really say for certain. As Sarah and Sally fly to Belvia, there is a meeting in the Holy City. It's between all the leaders in the fight against the monsters. The one leading this meeting is always the Pope. The news about Zirn has shocked the world. He was right in front of me a few days ago, and I couldn't see it. I'm a failure of a Pope. I look around the room and notice many faces that are curious about what we will do about this. Now that his identity and features are known, the elves are pushing us to bring him in. It's never going to be that simple, though. A being of such power and authority can be called on a whim, can't be forced to do anything. We have to lure him in with something. Anything that might be valuable to him. I know that the developments in the last 30 hours have made many question the Church's goals. Rest assured, our focus at this moment in time is the war. As I say those words, many give doubtful expressions. The only face that isn't doubtful is Syndra. As the Queen of the Elves, I know she will start to question when we send out search parties for him. The son of Archangel Michael, this Zirn, do we know where he currently is? The first out of the group of leaders to speak is Gregory, of course. His help in this war is sorely needed. We have begun to push and attack the monsters on all fronts, but the war has come to a stalemate. Not to mention the return of these old gods. The need for him grows by the day. Playing devil's advocate, it seems. We have only information on where he has been. It's recently come to our attention that King Jackson knew of his identity and didn't tell us either. I look at the king that knows, and he stays stoic. Many follow my gazes and stare at Jackson too. He stands up in hologram form and sighs. He is a personal friend. If not for him, we wouldn't have found the horn of the forest in the ancient ruins of the Dryads. Once I learned of his identity, I figured I should keep my mouth shut. If he wanted to be found, he would have been. While we never got to use the item, we have finally found someone strong enough to use it. It's going to help in this war. Many nod their heads in agreement. I, and along with every church official, have come to resent Jackson. He knew all this time and never said anything. I understand condemning me, but I chose to be on his side. In the end, that is the right choice. He sits down, and many whisper to each other. I'll admit my blood boils at his words, but they are true. You're a bastard for keeping that from us. You are lucky you are a part of the coalition, or I'd kill you myself. I hear Lucy scream at Jackson. If anyone was searching the hardest, it was Lucy. Put that on top of her normal responsibilities, and she wasted a lot of time. Jackson doesn't react to her threat at all. Lucy stands up from her seat and takes center stage in the large meeting. I want to say this warning only once. If any kingdom chooses to hide the truth regarding Zirn again, you will be made an enemy of the church. After this war is over, there will be repercussions, Jackson. I rub my head in frustration at Lucy's words. I can't really stop her. She is in charge of our armies and battles. Many look at each other with weariness at Lucy's words. The next to stand is Sindra. Don't forget. Zirn belongs to the elven people and royal family. Hold up to your end of the bargain. If you don't, there will be war. Her hologram turns off before Lucy can yell at her too. This causes her to be even angrier. She storms out of the meeting hall, hurling curses unfit for a beautiful woman. I want to offer a bounty. Anyone who comes into contact and convinces Zirn to come to us will be given anything they want. Even a Genesis drop. Many perk their heads and mute their holograms. Such a thing to promise, many will consider me mad. I have no other options, though. The only way to get something from greedy people is to tempt them with what they want. No one is going to resist the chance at a Genesis drop. A powerful potion, one that grants eternal life. Only one person has ever drunk a Genesis drop, and Flint wants nothing to do with people anymore. Being a mage allows many abilities. Put that on top of a Genesis drop, and you get a man like Flint. A being that can destroy a country all on his own. This is war, and change to Gaia will be the death of me. Chapter 174, Flying to Belvia 4. While Sarah and Sally continue flying, and the church continues its meeting. Many players are getting right back into things, one of these players being Wilted Rose and her clan. Thousands of clans are reforming and rejoining. The separation during the collision and its effects are being fixed. One thing that continues to fail is player-to-player communication. The situation for Wilted Rose is improving every day. Now that everyone is back where they started, I can focus on the tasks at hand. Being the guild leader for one of the top guilds is becoming even more challenging. Now that our way to get back to Earth is gone, we will have to find a way to communicate and rebuild if it exists anymore. Willow Tree is a beacon of light for many players in this time, and as its leader, millions are looking to me for guidance. I walk the streets of my capital city, heading to my destination for my tier-up quest. My top commanders and field officers are right behind me. We'll have to split up at this point. Since I have a legacy class, I won't be going to the same area as all of you. They nod their heads and split off from me in their own directions. I continue on my path in the capital city of Salamander. It's truly a city that can be compared to art. The main thing on every guild leader's mind is Slayer Zirn. The person who holds the divine class. More legendary class users have started to show up too. Both Battle Mind and Phoenix have emerged. There is no way to tell if any of these players have a guild yet. Many guilds would keep them a secret till the time to reveal them was right. I'm confident that these people aren't in guilds yet, but you never know things like that. It's been a little over a day since we have returned to our original continents, and what intrigues me is all the changes since we were isolated. We heard the announcements, but seeing is different than hearing. What I've heard about the war has grown into a situation that we players can reap the rewards. This war has presented an opportunity for us to gain lots of strength very fast. I look at my map and notice I'm getting close to my marker. I look up ahead and see an archery shop. I have a legacy archer class, and my tier-up quests told me to come here to speak to a master that resides in this shop. I finish the walk and open the shop door. The old man smiles at me. You carry yourself differently, young lady. How may I help you? I walk up to the counter and explain why I'm here. The Adamo parents and their youngest are resting on a hill overlooking a forest as this is happening. They are on their way to the nearest city. Violet is thinking about the changes that have happened in her family. My little Marcus is getting so strong these days. Now that he has a legendary class, he doesn't need our help anymore. I can't help feeling a little empty at that thought. As the mother of my children, I'll always want a role in their lives, but Marcus is so much stronger than Chris and I now. Honey, are you listening? I get out of my head and turn my attention to my husband. He looks at me in both understanding and slight pity. He walks up beside me and takes a seat next to me. He wraps his arm around me and comforts me. He is still a kid. Even with his new power, he will need us for a while. I'm proud that he is so strong now. Sarah's information was perfect. It makes me wonder what else he knows. Some nights, I would cry myself to sleeping, thinking about my daughter and oldest son. I lean my head on him, and he kisses the top of my head. We look into the trees below us on the hill we are on and see a pillar of white fire explode into the sky. He sure is having fun with his new abilities, makes me eager for what we'll end up getting. Now that we are back on our original continent, I bet you are wondering when we'll see Haley and Sarah. I nod my head, and he chuckles slightly. I've come a long way in regards to my children. However, I still want to see them soon. It's felt like years since I've seen them. Sir Ericsson said he'll help us find them. Now that we are in a guild, we don't ever have to solve problems on our own. We have so many people backing us up. He's right about that. The Steel Legion Guild has proved to be the best decision we made without Sarah helping us. It's become a second home to us, and we've made so many friends. When do you think we'll see our kids again, Chris? They don't need us anymore, and I get that, but I still miss them so much. I never thought I'd be separated from them in the way it's happened. This whole stuck here in Ancient's world sucks. I'm not alone in my thoughts either. Many wish to find a way back to Earth in hopes of finding their loved ones that disappeared during our trip here. Watching people turn to dust like that makes me shiver still. Before Chris can say anything, we hear Marcus running up the hill and making his way to us. We stop our conversation and wait for him. He makes it to us and has an excited look on his face. Did you see that, guys? It was big enough to reach the clouds this time. I smile at his energetic attitude. I open my arms for him to come and hug me, and he does. I hold him and give him a hug full of all my love. So are we going to Yelwich to meet up with Ericsson? Marcus asks us a question that we have discussed at length. We plan to meet up with the guild after Chris and I get our legacy classes. I look at Chris to see if we should explain it to him. He nods his head, and I take a breath. Are we going to eat something soon? I'm starving. Before I can even start talking, he asks another question. I laugh a bit at his short attention span. Haley was just like that. I run my fingers through his hair and control my laughing. When we get to a litter in a few hours, we'll stop at an inn or restaurant to get something to eat. I hope that sounds good to you. He enthusiastically nods his head, and I let him go. I look over to my husband and see him smiling as well. I hold out my hand for him to grab it, and he does. We start our journey back to a litter and enjoy the open wilderness that poses no threat to us at the moment. All three of us are around level 50 now. Marcus is at the highest level of 57, Chris is close behind him at 55, and I'm at 52. Ever since we got stuck in Ancient's world, we have regressed into our mid-20s and have regained our youth. We haven't been able to try anything out since Marcus is always with us, but we have time on our side now. As we walk, I think back to the first 2 weeks that Haley and Sarah left us. I wouldn't leave the room in the tower for days on end, and I barely ate anything. Chris was worried I might die from starvation or dehydration. I didn't care because I knew I would respawn. He took care of me, though. I was such a burden to him, but he is the man he has always been and supported me until I was ready. I love you, Chris. I want to talk to you about something important. Marcus is playing up ahead in view of us and having fun, so he can't hear this important conversation. He nods his head for me to continue. I want to hear your thoughts on us having another child. I watch him get all nervous and fidgety. I chuckle at his reaction. I know I'm dropping this on you, but give it some thought. Now that we are young again, I wouldn't mind having more children. I'm not expecting an answer now or soon, but I expect one. He tightens his grip just a little, and I respond with my hand. If that's what you want, Violet, then I'm all for it. I want to wait until we are settled in this world, with a home and property. To raise the said baby, I don't want to do that when we are out having dangerous battles. I give him his favorite smile and kiss his cheek. That is something I can easily agree to. We have many years ahead of us, and having a child so soon isn't in my plans. I want to have one more after settling into this place and have made a home. Marcus, quit throwing fire around. We don't want this forest to burn down. My husband yells to our son as he causes problems. We already have one to raise right now, so I'm going to focus on him. Chapter 175, Flying to Belvia v. We fly through the clouds and enjoy the freedom of flight. I quickly dive down and launch back up. We should only be an hour out from Bellvia. We have been traveling the majority of the day, and the marker on my map is getting closer and closer. I speak loudly so Sally can hear me over the loud wind. We fly in silence, and I think about what will happen once we reach Bellvia. Since we don't have to worry about alarms going off once I get close, it'll make getting in easy. They are likely scanning faces and inspecting anyone that comes through city gates looking for me. They won't find me anywhere near one of those outposts. I close my eyes and sink myself in the serenity of this entire situation. I take this time to look at my player stats and all my quests in Belvia. Slayer, Zirn, LVL.90. EXP, 1/100%. Title, The Son of Archangel Michael, hidden, +3 more. Stats. Strength, 2095 Endurance, 2045 Dexterity, 2125 Speed, 2240 Focus, 14660. Mana Aura Control, 5/100%. Health, 16,560,000/16,560,000,000 Mana, 146,600,000/146,600,000,000. Stat points, 90 Armor Rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver and Overachiever. Active skills. Heaven's Light LVL.9325/900 Protected by Heaven LVL.9225/900/LVL.224600/13000 Parry LVL.380/300 Double Strike N/A King Slayer N/A Raging Machine N/A Winged Glory Angelic Flight Divine Pressure Exertion Divinity Pulse. Quest, The False One. Description: You have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads, and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make. Only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1, expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Objective 2, find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancient's world. Quality, Legendary. Rewards, Hidden. Quest, An Abomination. Description: Find the research and notes of Ulmaruna on her development of the curse. Objective 1, find Ulmaruna's lab in Belvia's capital and bring the notes and research papers back to Flint. Objective 2, Hidden. Quality, Epic. Heist of Belvia's treasure vault. Description: break into Belvia's treasure vaults and retrieve the Dice of Wayland. Objective 1, once in Belvia, find a group that can help you pull off the heist. Objective 2, once you have the Dice of Wayland, keep them until the right time to use them. Difficulty: Legendary. Rewards: anything you can take from the vaults other than the Dice of Wayland. I see that I have 90 unused skill points that I can invest into something that'll come in handy. Just depends out what it is. Speed seems like my most likely option since it leads to faster attacks and higher DPS. The other choices are strength and endurance, obviously. Balancing those out will always be smart. Dexterity and focus are the latter choices of the group, and they both have their uses. A higher mana count means a higher ceiling for potential. I take the 90 unused skill points and invest them into dexterity. In the end, it allows me to wield my weapon more efficiently. I look at the new stat panel and see the changed values. Slayer, Zirn, LVL.90. EXP, 1/100%. Title: The Son of Archangel Michael, hidden, +3 more. Stats: Strength, 2095 Endurance, 2045 Dexterity, 2215 Speed, 2240 Focus, 14660. Mana Aura Control, 5/100%. Health, 16,560,000/16,560,000,000 Mana, 146,600,000/146,600,000,000. Stat points: 0 Armor rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver and Overachiever. Active skills: Heaven's Light LVL.9325/900 Protected by Heaven LVL.9225/900/LVL.224600/13000 Parry LVL.380/300 Double Strike N/A King Slayer N/A Raging Machine N/A Winged Glory Angelic Flight Divine Pressure Exertion Divinity Pulse. Everything looks in order, and that's when I remember that I want to check the information on my active skills again. I pull up information on my strongest ones. Divine Pressure Exertion. Description: a skill that allows you to oppress and possibly kill people with your mana control and power. The quality of a mana aura makes it stronger or weaker, and as you can see, you have Divine Pressure Exertion. The higher your control over your mana aura, the more powerful this will become. At the current level of 5%, you can kill anyone with a lower level and weaker mana aura than you. It wouldn't be this strong if not for the quality of your mana aura. Divinity Pulse, Bloodline. Description: another skill directly tied to your mana aura control. Divinity Pulse is an exclusive skill provided by your direct line to the Almighty Father. Effect: channel your divine power into an outward explosion. Instantly kill all hostile enemies within a 400 km range. All enemies that are at least 2 tiers higher can resist. Cost: 140 billion mana. King Slayer, active. Description: not even kings stand a chance, 350% to all outgoing attacks for 10 minutes. It can't be upgraded. 100,000 mana required for activation. Cooldown 24 hours. Raging Machine, active. Description: nothing will stop you from winning. All outgoing attacks are increased by 500%, and all incoming attacks are turned into health for 10 minutes. It can't be upgraded. 170,000 mana required. Cooldown 48 hours. These skills, along with my oldest ones when I unlocked this class, make my damage output in the tens of millions. I pull up information on my sword and refresh my memory on what is known about it. The Witness. Description: a legendary sword that has been around since before recorded history. All the greatest and most influential people have wielded this blade. Empires have risen and fallen to, and for, this blade. It has been held by kings, queens, emperors, and empresses, along with sword saints of unparalleled power and recognition. The witness is the strongest and most powerful of the one-handed swords on Gaia. There is no blade better to wield. The construction of the witness isn't one known to all. Only a select few know its origins. It was crafted by the same divine metal as Durandal, Excalibur, and Caliban. These 4 swords were made by the angelic smith Aralim. They are considered siblings since they were made from the same metal ore. More information will be revealed once you tear up. Quality, legendary. Durability, infinite. Damage, 24,000. Unique properties. Has a very high chance to dismember limbs instantly. Has a very high chance to cause curse of decomposition. Description: areas attacked by curse of decomposition will rot away till they are cured or the target dies. Will always cause critical hit upon vital points struck. Will always ignore armor and defense ratings. This sword will gain more power every time you tear up. There is no required level to wield this blade. The witness resonates with your angelic blood. Plus 10,000 focus. The power in this blade truly is mind-boggling. Add this to any attack within 2 tiers of my tier, and nothing can stand against me. We continue flying and eventually see the walls and massive buildings sticking out the side of a mountain. That Belvia up ahead. You can smell the aqueducts from here. Many cities have aqueducts, but Belvia is the first I've seen that has them visible. Some are empowered by magic and other means. Magical cities use only magic to annihilate waste, a remarkable way to control pollution. I bring us down into the forest about a mile out and land us. Sally gets off, and I stretch my body a bit. We are getting a meal first, right? I'm starving, and you said the first thing we would do is get a meal. Sally looks at me with the same hungry for food look I have had most of this journey. I nod my head, and she wiggles in excitement. Time to get into Belvia. We walk through the forest slowly as the sun creeps to a setting. I smile as the orange hue ignites the sky. Chapter 176, The Heist of Belvia. I look at the city's entrance and don't see a line for males, unlike the Holy City. Now that the whole of Ancient's world knows who I am, I can assume that those are for finding me somehow. It's nice to know that I don't have to worry about any alarms going off near me. Since this city is in the coalition, I don't have to worry about instant detection. We'll still avoid the line and entrance to the city. Its location is much to be desired, though. We'll scale the walls like we always do. The security isn't as tight here as the Holy City. I inform Sally of the plan we normally take, and she nods her head in confirmation. We carefully make our way through the treeline, and that's when I notice a problem that will be interesting. The distance between the wall we need to scale, and the treeline is large. There is a lot of open space and plenty of chances for us to get spotted as we rush at a wall. Sally's ice dummies can distract easily, but it'll be a higher chance of risk. The close treeline at the Holy City was really advantageous. Should I use my ice dummies to distract any guards like last time? I nod my head, and she creates them. She sends them out, and they make it halfway across the field. Before I can pick Sally up, they explode. We both look at the new little crater with slight disbelief. I look towards the top of the wall and see some magical cannon. I've never seen those weapons before. Sally says what I'm thinking right now. After looking for a couple more seconds, some normal guards with regular armor for Belvia come out and investigate the site. Sweep the area for any more trespassers. Talk about brutal. Belvia didn't have this technology. At least I don't think they did when it's wartime. That's when most great inventions are made. I look at Sally as the guards slowly approach the treeline. It's a good thing it's dark now. This leaves a new problem. I can't see any other obvious way into the city. So how do so many criminals come and go in Belvia's underground criminal network? There are a couple of possibilities. Starting with a secret entrance outside the city, it will not be near the walls with those cannons. That means it's hidden in the massive and thick forest surrounding the city. Let's get out of here. No one is around. Must have been a malfunction. Since the ice dummies don't leave anything behind, there is no reason to suspect anything. We keep low and hidden in the treeline as they vacate the area. Looking for a secret entrance in these woods isn't ideal. Another idea is a bribed guard or official. Someone who lets certain people come and go at certain prices. The hard part about finding said guard or official. The whole reason is that guards and officials blend in and are in tight bonds with each other. The whole reason criminals love bribing and having these people on the payroll means the heat is almost completely driven away. The guards have finally all left, and we stand. We can't get past those cannons without causing a scene, which is something I don't want to do. The odds of getting in have gotten a lot lower this time around. I announce my thoughts in a whisper to be safe. Our go-to strategy to get into cities isn't going to work in Belvia. I guess that means it's time to create another one. Magical cannons are a new and obscure technology. New things have problems, and they aren't found when something new is made. A device or object can have magical properties. A magical cannon would be an enchantment. What type of weaknesses would an enchanted cannon have? The destruction of the enchantment could work. The type of explosion and power that came from that shot says more than your everyday enchantment. It has to have special ammo for that kind of strength. They might be running on magic generators. Just a thought. I don't know much about magic. Sally is doing her best to help. Making machines like this isn't cheap, and an unpowered enchanted weapon as complex as a cannon is probably very expensive. Not something that's a dime a dozen. So manufacturers would make shortcuts for cheap production costs. You can always count on the cheapness of your local power. A perfect example is the RMBK reactors in Chernobyl during the 1980s. A cheap reactor like those comes at costs, sometimes deadly. I look at the cannon at the top of the wall. It's almost medium in size and pretty subtle. Hard to see at night. It has tubes and wires on it, just barely visible. I don't see any way we can disable it without getting close. Your ice dummies will be annihilated before they can get close enough to shot them down. My wings could easily shrug off the shots, but that will reveal me. Maybe I can use my mana pressure exertion in some way. That'll hurt a lot of people, though, kill them even. We are going to have to find another way in. Let's head to the main road and watch it from cover. If anyone might know where a hidden way in is, they'll have to start on the main road and go into the woods once they see a hidden sign or marker. This is the best idea I can come up with right now. Flying into the city is not going to happen. People will discover me instantly. A pair of golden wings would draw a lot of attention. Maybe we can ask someone? I'm sure that more than just a single person in dozens knows where this supposed hidden entrance might be. I like Sally's idea, but not her sarcasm. That leaves who to ask, and the perfect people to ask are the elderly. They have been around the longest and have the best information regarding anything not publicly known. We slowly walk through the woods and make it to the roads. There are still plenty of carts and cartridges not getting in the city because of the long line of males. I look at the oldest people from our hiding spots, and not many are over the age of 50. Some look to be approaching 60, though. I see an older gentleman on a single horse, and he has some unordinary things hanging out of his satchels. They have runes and look to have magic. Some smuggler, I bet. No one is behind him, and no one in front of him is paying attention. I watch him turn his horse and subtly walk into the woods with his horse. Nobody witnessed the sleek move. He has been doing this for years. The line is pretty far from the gate and the guards, so there is no risk of getting spotted so far out by guards. I wave my hand for Sally to follow, and we cross the road and enter near the woods in the same spot. We keep a good distance from the guy. He knows exactly where he's going. After 25 slow minutes of following quietly, we see some other people guarding a small path that digs into the ground. The guards of this entrance don't have uniforms. We just found our way in. We watch the horse disappear into the path that goes underground and hear the faint squeaking of a door opening and closing. Let's wait here for about 40 minutes. If we approach now, they'll think we trailed that guy in. I don't want to butcher my way in through the underground entrance. I whisper to Sally, and she leans against a tree out of sight and takes a load off. I follow suit and relax. We might have to fight regardless. I don't know how you feel about killing people, so if you can't handle, let me know now. I'll take the lead while you stay back. She looks at me as if I have offended her. I know Sally is tough, but she was disgusted when I slaughtered the evil guys at that inn in the Holy City. She takes a breath and holds out her hands. An ice cube begins to form into a rose. She has gotten good at experimenting with her class and powers. Among all the legacy classes I know of, Winter's Wrath is truly special. I can take care of myself, Zirn. These guys aren't saints, and I know that. Killing the bad ones will be easy, and once they are taken care of, we can get into the city. She doesn't know that we will have to kill them all, not just the bad ones. No witnesses can see me, and even if there are some good criminals in that place, they'll have to die too. I'll keep her optimism, but she will see me in a different light if it goes down the way I think it will. She accepts the half-angel side of me and pays more attention to it than the half-human. 'Cause my human side is the dangerous one of the two. If it does go down my way, she'll focus on my human half more than my angel one. Chapter 177, The Heist of Belvia 2. We have a few more minutes till we approach. It's almost been 40 minutes, and the guards haven't changed shifts yet. I can't tell what's beyond that door from where we are at. It could be a singular tunnel that leads into the city, or it can be an underground system that has rooms and little areas to gather. I'd like not to murder so many people, but that's all up to the guards at the door. If they don't let us in, then they'll be the first ones to die. These minutes have passed extremely slowly, and the longer we wait here, the more anxious I get. Do you have any plans if they don't let us in? Violence isn't the only way. You could always bribe them. Sally has a good point, and I'll try that if not getting in doesn't work. If they won't accept bribes, then killing them all is the only option I see. I keep watching the guards, and they are starting to look tired. A shift change might be coming soon. We'll give your idea a try. I have a decent amount of gold left. I'd prefer not to have to use the rest of it. We'll approach in a minute. I still want to watch for just a little longer. As I say those final words, the door opens, and 2 new guards come out. I get a good look inside, and it's a long tunnel that turns off. Good news is I don't see anything akin to an underground town, which means this probably leads directly into the city that isn't guarded and is easily accessible. I have many more ideas of what this could be, but they aren't relevant to this situation. The guards finish changing shifts, and the door closes. We sneak in the dark and make a loop back to the path that the man on the horse used. The guards see us approaching but make no move to stop us. Only when we get into the underground path to the door, do they stop us. You don't look familiar, boy. I'd remember a face like yours, and the fact you have an elf companion is strange enough. I tense my body just slightly, getting ready for combat. However, he sighs. I don't get paid enough to ask questions. I'm just going to assume you're some slave trader. Be careful in the city. We have some pretty big names in town right now. I nod my head, and he lets us pass. Big names in town, I wonder if I can get some help from said big names. We start walking down the path, and torches light it every 25 feet or so. Put your hood on. The fewer people know you're an elf, the better. I don't like being called a slaver either. Once we are inside the city, we head to an inn to have some delicious food and a comfortable bed. We have been traveling around huge distances for a while now, and the last time I saw a bed was in the fairies' kingdom. Sally chuckles slightly. As a human from a modern time, with modern technology, sleeping outside isn't something I and many more aren't used to. Deforestation on Earth caused many camping to die out 80 years before I was born. I really do hope Earth heals itself in our absence. We took it for granted. We stay quiet as we walk the long singular hallway. I look around, and I don't see any discernible details. This place is only used for getting in and out of the city undetected. We walk for a good 30 minutes, and we are coming up to another door. It doesn't have guards on this side. We make it up to the door and open it. It reveals a giant underground market. There aren't many people walking the streets of this underground town. I bet most are out committing crimes. Now that it's been dark for a while now, all the thieves and robbers are out. The big-time criminals aren't going to be out, though. So that leaves an opportunity. There are no guards at this door, so that must mean there is no need for security. Pretty trusting for a hive of criminals. I even see inns and bars that have noise coming from them. Sally hears this too and looks slightly rattled. She probably isn't going to go along with the idea of staying in an inn that is full of bad men and women. We can find a way up to the surface if you want, Sally. I can see the hesitation on your face. She nods her head, and I nod mine. Guess we are going to have to find a way out of this place tonight. Let's see where the main roads down here lead. Most roads lead somewhere, and the ones most traveled probably lead to the surface. We begin to follow the only main road around, it right off of the entrance we can in through. We walk around and notice more bars and inns full of people partying. Some have even had their spill out onto the streets. We have to stop our walk as we come across a party that has taken up the road in front of us. Some people are in a circle fighting, and others are dancing around merrily. For a literal underground criminal network, they sure do love to party. Sally looks at the crowd we have to go through, and I can tell she is nervous. Stay close to me. Who knows what pervert will try to pull something. If violence does break out, leave it to me. She grabs the bottom of my leather chest piece, and we start to make our way through the crowd. However, we are stopped as someone decides to get handsy with Sally. Before she can even scream, I ball my fist and punch a hole the size of my fist into his fist. I pull my fist out of his skull, and everyone backs away from us. They make a circle and look at the gruesome scene. Blood drips from my hand onto the ground. We hear shouting coming from inside the outside party's bar. A tall man with 3 others comes out, bearing their weapons. You know that was one of my best friend's brothers. He isn't so happy right now. Another man comes charging out with a long sword as he says that. The tall man stops him. You have quite a lot of power. The man you killed was a level 85 tier 1. You put a hole through his skull with your bare hand. So you can see why I'm hesitant to let him attack you. Mind telling me who you are so I don't have to inspect you? I squint my eyes and ponder my next response. If he inspects me, he'll see my name, and the cat will be out of the bag. My other option is to kill all these people and get out of here. This is my only warning. Let us pass and leave us alone, or die a death like your man here. I tilt my head towards the dead body with a hole in its face. The brother of the dead man looks at me in a fury. I can see where this is going. I draw my sword, and everyone cringes and shakes at the feeling the witness gives off. A true legendary weapon will have effects like this, and I'm glad it does. The tall man stares at my sword for a long period of time. I roll my eyes, and I watch him turn his head to Sally. He grins perversely. Before I can even react, Sally launches ice spears and kills 2 men behind the tall man. He barely jumped out of the way. I look at Sally, and I can see the determination on her face. Now that she has the power to defend herself, she will. I watch her create a beautiful ice sword. Leave these guys to me. I need this. I nod my head at Sally's words. She jumps at them and starts to attack. She uses her ice sword and does a very good job keeping them on the ropes, but she can't really do any damage since their coordination is so good. As I watch this, someone inspects me, and I hear a gasp. I sigh and toggle my wings on. Many try to run and hide, but I use my divine mana pressure exertion before any of them can get out of sight. Everyone, including Sally, hits the ground hard and begins to breathe heavily under pressure. I flex my wings and bare my sword. I move at speeds they can't perceive or react to. I kill everyone other than the tall man and his crew. Everyone in the immediate vicinity is now dead, not everyone in the small town, but they were affected too. I know it, so was the surface, I bet. I let up on the pressure exertion, and Sally gets up. What was that for? I wave my hand for her to continue her fight. She gets back into position and looks at the tall man and the brother of the man I killed. They are looking at me, though, in total and absolute fear. Great, you broke them before I could punish them. She sounds genuinely disappointed too. I hope I'm not a bad influence on her. We need to get out of here before anyone shows up. Sally kills the paralyzed men in fear and comes back to me. Let's get out of this cesspool. I chuckle, and we keep walking the road. I have a slight problem, though. I'm covered in blood once again. It's a good thing it's dark on the surface. Chapter 178, The Heist of Bellvia 3. We follow the road and eventually come to a bigger door. We should get out of here now. I'm betting all those bodies are being found right about now. Sally nods her head in agreement, and we approach the door. I push it open, and a new narrow path has opened up. This path is the most likely to lead to the surface, it has the most foot traffic, and since it's dark out, we won't have so much trouble getting around. If someone sees me covered in human blood like this, then I'm sure we'll have no chance at getting into the treasure room. So we are going to stick to rooftops and dark allies. I unequip my leather chest piece, and my bare chest shows. My chest piece has the most blood on it. If someone does see us, it won't be so obvious now. They'll have to look at my pants deliberately to see the blood. As we walk the long dirt path in the narrow tunnel to the surface, I can't help feeling Sally's strong gaze. I try to ignore her, but she makes no effort to hide her interest in my topless area. I have well-defined muscles, and I can see why they'd be attractive. You know, many people would consider starting rude. How would you like it if you didn't have a top and bra on and I was staring? She turns her head away in embarrassment. I chuckle now that I got my point across. I'm not obsessed with physical characteristics. In fact, I'd say I'm way more interested in what's on the inside. Many wouldn't believe that, though, and I don't know why. Still, being a virgin and never having a romantic relationship attests to that. Being an attractive member of the male species, I've had plenty of chances for romantic and physical encounters. I rejected them all, and many would question my sexual preference from my actions. I'm straight, but I don't find myself getting hot or bothered around beautiful women. I don't see the same appeal as others. I'm too much of a control freak to ever open up to someone like that, even if it's just for sex. I wasn't staring like the way you think I was. My thoughts are interrupted by Sally trying to explain away her ogling earlier. It's just different with you. I can't put into the right words. She has come a long lot from the person I started this journey with. The time I've spent with Sally has taught me a lot about people and women. She has suffered greatly, and despite her harsh past, she has not let any of that get in the way of her life and happiness. The willpower she has shown is greater than anything I've ever seen before. I'm not capable of such strength if I went through what she went through. I wouldn't have come out nearly as great as she has. I would have given up a long time ago. It's not a crime to stare at me. It's just not something I'm used to experiencing. I've been looked at by people before, but I saw it up close until just now. Besides, I was messing with you. I know that it's different for men and women on what to take on and off. I'm smart enough to know the obvious differences. People can say whatever they want. Women have it harder when it comes to physical body confidence. It's not because of what you think, despite the social differences in the 23rd century. The main enemy of women was, in fact, women, while men hold blame as well. I have seen some really nasty things happening between women and their views. They judge each other brutally and have passive-aggressive behaviors that, in honesty, scare me. The whole situation is beyond my full grasp since I am a man. I have concluded from the treatment I've seen other women put each other through. Not to mention the type of power women have over men. A woman can say that a man raped or sexually assaulted her when it never occurred. There will be no trial for the man, at least not a fair one. They lock him up and throw away the key on baseless accusations. This happened to a kid in my high school. He broke up with his girlfriend, and a few weeks later, she accused him of rape and harassment. He was sent to federal state prison, only to be found innocent after the woman he dumped came forward out of guilt. He spent 2 years in that prison, and he was an innocent man. Another reason I don't find myself with women, not all women are the same. However, that kind of power is scary to me. You've had a serious look on your face for a while now. Is everything all right? Sally interrupts my thoughts about what I've come to learn about men, women, and relationships. I got really distracted, in honesty, while what I said has merit. It's not like men haven't hurt women. So in retrospect, it's a cycle that we have all created. I don't have relationships because of this cycle. While I believe true love exists, damn, is it hard to find in all the deceit, hate, and mistrust. I was going through my thoughts, Sally. Where I come from, there is a huge divide between men and women anymore. Our conversation sparked memories of that place, of home. In truth, this world is so much better. While there are conflicts, the way to hurt each other is limited here. There are no ways of instant communication to send hate here. I hope there never will be. The technology of the 23rd century allowed many great things. It created a lot of problems too. She looks at me in confusion. Describing some things from my world isn't fair. I could give context, but we are almost to the surface. I can see a new door up ahead. We can talk about this another time. I'm in the mood for a meal and a soft bed. She smiles and nods her head in agreement. What opinions I've developed are controversial in the 23rd century. However, they are deductions I've come to on my own. The 23rd century would be the last before humanity died out anyway, so it really doesn't matter what I think now. All those problems disappeared when we did. There are no issues like that at the current time here on Gaia. The problems we as humans created are now gone, and they will stay gone for a long time. Hopefully, this leads to a great new start for us here. You have lots of stories, don't you? You speak as if you are much older than you look. What exactly were you thinking about anyway? In simple terms, the stand of men and women in the 23rd century. In more complex terms, the great schism between what once was two species working together to solve problems and love each other. Never mind, you have that thinking look in your eye, and you aren't very good at explaining things from your world. I laugh and enjoy the truthful words she speaks. It's hard to explain something you are unfamiliar with, after all. So my opinions of my time probably have to merit, since I know nothing of the real problems in my time. We make it to the door, and I push it open. As soon as I do, a notification goes off. I look and see that my legendary quest to free the Dryads has had some objective changes now that I'm officially in the capital city of Bellvia. I try to pull up the quest, but a voice interrupts me before I do. I don't recognize your faces. Give me one good reason I shouldn't kill you both right now. I turn and see some officer in the Belvian army. He must be a bribed official to let people come through this way. This means this is an exclusive route, and we took it not knowing it was. He reaches for his sword as we stay quiet. We are in a basement, probably under a property he owns. I toggle my wings on and dash forward. I kill him by chopping him into 3 pieces. He tried to say something. I didn't give him a chance to speak. Sally cringes in slight disgust, and now my torso is covered in blood. That's just great. Let's go upstairs. I want to clean this blood off me before we go anywhere. She nods her head in agreement, and I focus back on my new objectives on my quest. I pull it up and start reading. Quest, the false one. Description: you have found the truth about Belvia and their involvement with the Dryads, and you have found out about the curse and who made it. You will have a choice to make. Only one of the following objectives can be completed. Objective 1, expose the kingdom of Belvia and have them pay for their crimes. Objective 2, find the weakness of the curse and use it to free the Dryads and return them to Ancient's world. Objective 3, now that you are in Belvia, finding the right person to talk to is important. How you do this is up to you. Quality, legendary. Rewards, hidden. I sigh as I read the new objective, just like my Chain Mana Aura quest to find the secret keeper of Titans. I already have a plan for this, though. Chapter 179, The Heist of Belvia 4. I walk up the stairs covered in a fresh splash of blood. This man's house will be a place we can't spend much time in. It does suck that I had to kill him. He drew his sword first, though. I make it to the top of the stairs and look down to see Sally following behind. He had a nice house, and I'm going to clean all this blood off me. I'm going to look for the bathroom. You can look for food or rest for a few minutes. Once I'm done cleaning up, we'll leave and find us an inn. She nods her head and walks into the kitchen. I head to another staircase that leads upstairs, and I search each room until I come across the bathroom. This one actually has a shower function, those cost extra. The magical enchantments are rare, from what I heard. He must have been racking in the illegal money for smuggling criminals into the city. I unequip my armor and turn the shower on. I keep it lukewarm and step into the down-flowing water. I release a sigh as the grime and blood washes of me. Taking a shower in a dead man's bathroom, which is still in the basement. Screams sociopath. I take the regular soap he has, and I begin to scrub my body. As I'm scrubbing, I hear the door to the bathroom open. I look through the shower curtain, and Sally is standing there getting undressed. I stop looking before she is nothing but skin. Sally, what are you doing? She stays quiet, and my nervousness continues to get higher. After a couple more seconds, the shower curtain slides open, and she steps in. I turn my head, so I don't see any of her exposed privates. This saves time, and I want to get clean too. Turn up the heat, would you? This is freezing. What she says makes sense, but her intentions might not match her words. I listen, and I turn up the heat in the shower. Thanks, now I'm not going to shiver. Hand me the soap. I pass it to her while looking forward towards the shower head. She is behind me. I close my eyes and focus on something else. Plans for tomorrow are what I need to think about right now, not the things going through my head right now. One thing is for sure. This heist is going to be hard. Can you scrub my back for me? I'll do yours if you do mine. My planning thoughts are interrupted by Sally. Her voice is even and calm. It's unlike the last time I found myself in a situation like this with her. She doesn't let me respond and turns me around. I try to stop my eyes from wandering, and I do a good job. However, I catch a glimpse, and I'm grateful that the soapy bubbles cover her bits. She turns around and hands me the soap. Her back and butt aren't covered in bubbles, though. I roll my neck, trying to release some tension. I rub the soap in between my hands and run it along the top of her back. Soon the suds run down her back and begin covering her butt. I breathe a sigh of relief as I no longer have to worry about that. You know it's okay to look, Zirn, I like what I saw. I'm impressed you hide it so well. I choke on my own breath for a second. I have to blink and shake my head just a little. I don't know if I heard her right. She turns around, and she looks me in the eyes with intentions of more than just a shower. The front part of her body isn't covered anymore, and I look up, trying to avoid a peek. She reaches up and runs her hands through my wet hair. Her longer nails massage my scalp, and I like way more than I should. She tilts my head down and looks up at me. Her wet long blonde hair clings to her back, and I look into her beautiful blue-green eyes similar to mine. I can't ignore my feelings for you any longer. Everything that's happened between us, I don't want to lose it. She presses the front of her body against the front of mine as she says those words. Her full chest squishes against mine, and it takes all my willpower not to have mine pop up in excitement. This is the first time I've been so physical with a woman, and my body and heart are telling Sally something that I don't intend to do. I prepare to speak, but she tilts my head down further and stands on her tippy toes. She captures my lips in hers and holds up together for a few seconds. She lets them go for only a split second and then captures them again, and this time she moves her lips. I don't mean to follow, but I match her movements. She pulls away for a breath and runs her fingers through my hair once again. We have an empty house all to ourselves. There is a big bed in the room across from this one. She has laced her voice in temptation. She pulls her body off mine and looks down. I can't control that part of me anymore, and as she looks, I watch her smile. She takes her right hand out of my hair and reaches down. She gently covers the tip with the palm of her hand and slowly rotates my tip. It's long and thick. Many would put it on the higher end of the large category compared to others. Your body is being honest with me, Zirn. When I touch it, I feel electricity shoot through my body. Does the same happen to you? She takes her left hand out of my hair and grabs my right wrist. She guides it to her left breast and plants my hand on it. She takes a gasp and sighs. This is the first time it's felt good for me. My face blushes in heat at her words. Her feelings for me have developed far beyond what I thought they had. She tries to grip my rod, but it's too big for a single hand to wrap around. She slowly starts to move her hand up and down my shaft. The soap making it easy and pleasurable. The sensation is nothing like I've ever felt. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. I try to resist, but I can't stop my other hand from groping her free breast. She moans hypnotically. I didn't know being touched by someone you love feels so good. She speeds up her motion on my rod, and I gently rotate her breasts and flick her nipples. I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not, but from her gasps and moans, I think I might be on the right track. I feel a pleasure build from the base of my rod. One I've never felt before, not at this level. You're growing. Hold it just a little longer. I obey and focus entirely on holding it in. She gets on her knees, and I no longer have access to her breasts. I don't know what she's planning until I feel warm wetness envelop the tip of my rod. It takes all my willpower not to explode right here and now. She wiggles her tongue and slides halfway down. I tilt my head back as I feel her tongue slide on the bottom of my rod. I feel the pressure and pleasure quickly climb from the base of my rod. I try to hold it back, but as if climbs, I get bigger, and I can hear Sally moaning as I do. I tap the top of her head multiple times to warn her, and instead of coming off, she slides it even deeper. I let go and stop resisting. The pleasure and pressure climb and build fast as I release. I feel it explode out of my tip, and I can hear Sally moan and groan as my load slides down her throat. I hear her gulping, and I keep shooting and shooting. I finally stop, and I feel slightly weak in the knees. She slides my long and thick rod out of her mouth, and I see the mess I've made. Her face is red from lack of air, and she takes deep breaths. You haven't calmed down in the slightest. This must be the first time you've ever been this excited. It makes me happy I can get this kind of reaction from you. I watch as she stands, and I notice she is shaking slightly now. This shaking is different from that time in the tub. It's not shaking out of fear, so it must be the same reason I'm shaking a little. I want to see if that bed is as soft as it looks. She whispers just enough for me to hear. She opens the shower curtain and grabs my hand. She leads me to the bathroom door, and I have given up on resisting. I've done so for the past 20 years. Sally is different. Out of anyone, she is the one I can see myself doing something like this with. I've waited long enough, and she seems ready. If she truly is, then it'll be a night I'll always remember. Chapter 180, The Heist of Belvia v. We enter the room, and I see the bed. It is nice and big. It's disturbing that we'll be doing stuff in a dead man's bed, while he lies in the basement. Walking around naked with Sally is something I never thought I'd do, with anyone in fact. I close the door behind us, and I hear her hop onto the bed before I can even turn around. I turn in the darkness of the room, barely being lit by a lantern on the table by the bookshelf on the other side of the room. I look in Sally's direction, and she is lying on her side as she holds her head up with her hand. The shadows of the darkness in the room hide her private area perfectly. Come over here, she takes the hand relaxing against her thigh and waves me over. I walk over and sit on the edge of the bed. I lean back, and my head relaxes right next to hers. She looks down at me with a sincere look. For the first time in my entire life, my heart throbs. She brings her free hand up from her thigh and caresses my face gently. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. It's been 70 years since I've done anything like this, so you'll have to forgive me. Sally is 103 years old, and when she freed herself, she probably hasn't touched a man in that amount of time. She looks my age, maybe a tad younger. Her elf blood extends her lifespan. I don't know how long, though. She gently drags her fingers across my cheek and slowly runs it to the back of my head. She tilts my head up and kisses me. A normal kiss, one that isn't complicated or full of movement. This is the one that I like the most. She pulls away and comes back down for some more kisses. As she does this, she shifts her body and leans it against mine. As I feel her soft and smooth skin touch mine, my rod sticks up in excitement. She fully leans her body on mine and now is another hand to do whatever she pleases with. As a guy, I've seen things on the internet, but none of that's real. All that is scripted and mostly fake. So I push those things into the fire and forget about them. What I learn in this time frame is what will be the truth. I respond to Sally as she moves her lips ever so slightly. I enjoy the sensation as it's still very new to me. As we slowly experiment with kisses, I feel her free hand slide down my chest and run over my abs. She moans into my mouth slightly as she does. I quickly learn of her destination and remain calm. She runs the tips of her fingernails up and down my rod, sending new feelings through my body. Unlike anything I felt before, it's a new pleasure, and it feels good. As I'm distracted by all the things she's doing, she takes the chance to shift her body onto mine. Now fully on top of mine and in complete control. I like the fact she is taking control since I have no experience. It helps. It also might make her feel safer after all she has been through. Being the one in control might help her. She pulls away, and I take a breath. Is there something I should do? Sally shakes her head and grips my rod. A shiver crawls up my spine, and I enjoy the pressure she is applying. Leave everything to me. If I want you to do something, then I'll let you know. I take her words as a sign to relax and let both of us acclimate to what's about to happen. Have you ever touched a girl's lower parts before? I shake my head no. I know some of the anatomy from health class, but I don't have any real experience. She smiles and takes my hand and sits upon my stomach. I look down, and I see her most prized area. She guides my hand to a certain little bundle of skin near the top of it. This is what many call the clit. Be gentle with it, you can hurt me if you are too rough. I nod my head and clear my jumbled thoughts. I fully touch it with my thumb, and as I do, Sally releases and sharp gasp. I pull my hand away, thinking that I hurt her. She quickly grabs my wrist before it can fully get out of her reach. You didn't hurt me. It's the first time it has felt good. I never felt it like this before. Can you please do it some more? I slowly nod my head and bring my hand back down. I place my thumb on it again and slowly move it in small circles. She is breathing hard and heavy as I do so. I press down on it gently, and she whips her head back and squeals slightly. This is what it really feels like to do this with someone you love. I blush at her words. I bring my index into play and pinch it ever so slightly. She bucks her hips and leans back even further. That felt really good. I feel a tingle in my area too. When she feels pleasure, I do too. She gets back into a normal position as I stop, and she looks down at me. She takes her hands off my chest and cups my face. You know how the entrance works, right? I nod my head, and she smiles just a little. Take your finger and try it out, she said, finger in a singular form, so don't go ever one. She raises her hips slightly off me and guides my hand to entrance. I take my index finger and slowly insert the tip of it. She begins to shake, and I almost say something, but she puts a finger over my lips. I'm shaking from the pleasure, not the fear. I insert some more, and she continues to vibrate. My index finger is half in, and that's when I decide to stop. I wiggle it up and down slowly to see if that does anything. Boy, oh boy, what a reaction! Her upper body clings to my upper body, and her hips stay in the air. She proceeds to bite some skin on the nape of my neck. That sends a chill down my spine too. Keep doing that, she tells me what to do in a breathless voice, and I listen. I move my finger in a circular motion and rub it against every wall she has. Not going too deep, just staying where she likes it. She presses down harder on me, and I feel her folds squeeze around my index finger. She takes deep breaths, but I don't stop. Thinking that's the right thing to do. Slow down to intense, I completely stop my slow circular movements and pull my finger out. I wasn't going any faster than before or any more intense. It must have been from her light orgasm. Too much stimulation after such an event must not be good. She looks up at me from my pecs, and I see slight drool hanging from the side of her mouth in the little light that the lantern provides. I didn't hurt you, did I? She shakes her head no and brings her hips back down to my stomach and leans the top half of her up. She slides down my body and stops once my rod sits between her butt cheeks. What are we going to do now? I want to keep experimenting with her pleasure zones, but staying in one place for too long can be bad. At least I think that's what's right. She lifts her hips and lines her entrance up with my rod. Looking at the difference, I don't think I'll fit inside her. Some of her fluids drip onto the tip, and after a second, I feel my tip and her entrance touch. The heat and sensation are completely new and pleasurable. She grips my rod so it doesn't move, and she presses down. I see stars, and my mind goes blank. My tip enters her, and I release a groan myself. Feel good, Zirn. It feels incredible for me to give me some time to adjust before we do any moving. I barely hear her through the ringing in my ears. I'm glad I released a lot earlier, or I'd be done already. She continues to slowly lower her body onto my rod, and the deeper I go, the better it gets. About halfway in, I feel my tip press against something. It feels really good to touch it, and every time she breathes, it gets tighter. She takes several deep breaths, and I flutter my eyes trying to keep them open. This is the deepest I can go right now. I need to adjust to your size. You're so much bigger than what I was experienced to. My senses are being overwhelmed in pleasures. Something happens that I didn't know could. My wings full come out without me toggling them on. I can't control them right now, and the only thing that I can really do is watch them wrap Sally and bring her closer to me. She leans her upper body on mine again as we stay connected. My wings are soft and warm right now, and she moans at the touch of them. She starts to move her hips up and down as we are wrapped together, and that's when all my rational thoughts leave me, and I enjoy the pleasure.